thing. I have a trade idea for Portland that I think they get back a package that will boost them into contender. And you would look at the roster and think, okay, this is legit. So here's the trade. The trade would be with Minnesota. And I think that this one makes more sense for both teams. Here's the deal. Minnesota gives up KAT. Okay. And Minnesota gives up Jaden McDaniels, a really good 3-and-D player. And in return, Portland would give up Anfernee Simons in the 3rd pick. So what Minnesota gets is a running mate for Anthony Edwards, a guy that's not going to take the ball out of his hand per se like a KAT would, and it gives them another young player, possibly a Scoot Henderson or Brandon Miller. So, and that gets them younger as well, which they need because they gave up all their picks to get Rudy Gobert. So for Minnesota, this is kind of it's slightly a build around Anthony Edwards and also let's get a solid like 2 young players in return for a guy that's, entering his prime in his prime KAT. And for Portland, I think that Damian Lillard, like you said, has never played with a legitimate big. They've tried the wings. They tried to put him alongside other guards. It hasn't worked. Damian Lillard, if he were to play with the big, could potentially unlock something in him and success for a team, which he has had success, but never contender level success. So with KAT, I think that would be a fresh start for him. Because coming in, I mean, there were GM polls at one point in KAT's career where he was the most desirable player above a Giannis, above a LeBron, KD, legit. And I think that he just needs a fresh start. KAT is a all NBA level talent. Offensively, that dude is a stud. We've seen what he can do. But yes, I get it. He's had his off the court like antics recently, coming out with some stupid quotes.
Bad.
But yeah, I like that team. You'd have Dame. You'd still have Jeremy Grant. You'd have KAT, and you'd have Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah. KAT would be that pick and roll would be nuts because you could just pick and pop.
Pick and pop.
You would pick and pop,
dude.
KAT, he's a cheese ball. He's a cornball.
He is.
His inconsistencies, and maybe when you have Dane, that helps. But he's also had Anthony. His inconsistencies just hurt me. Like in that Denver series, those first couple games, he was shooting, I think it was like under 30%.
He's performed so poorly in the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's his biggest gripe, right? Because he offensively is an awesome, awesome talent. But it would definitely be, and the key piece you mentioned, well, not key, but getting McDaniels, having a wing defender like that, you need an elite wing defender to be competitive and to be in that upper echelon.
Yeah. And they'd have him and Matisse.
Matisse. Yeah. Matisse's offense is just, oh my gosh. Yeah. It's like me shooting a basketball.
I like the idea of KAT being in Portland, or like just like KAT in one just being traded.
Yeah.
The thing that like I'm hung up on is I don't think Minnesota would trade McDaniels. I don't think they have any desire to do that. They really like him. And then
he's young too.
He's the type of player that like everyone wants.
Mm-hmm.
He's 6'10", with a 7-something wingspan and can guard any position. And then he's just young and developing. But, I mean, I don't hate the idea of KAT in Portland.
I also think KAT would perform a lot better as a number 2 rather than being a number 1.
Yeah.
I think that it would take the pressure off his shoulders in the bright lights like a playoffs, and he'd be able to kind of ride Dame and show up when he needs to.
And that's maybe where a change of scenery helps, because in that last playoff series, guy was not a number 1. He's like not fit to be
Minnesota
like
views him as the number 1?
I don't think anymore.
I don't think it after this last series, because Ant turned up at the end.
Yeah.
And I think heading into that, I would say KAT is the guy. But after the series, like you guys said, I think he's
after this season.
I think they're trading him. I think they need to.
I agree.
I think they need to move on as well.
Yeah, and give Ant the keys. I think that trade does it for him.
Ant deserves the keys. He deserves the car. He deserves the family.
He deserves everything.
He deserves everything, because you build around Ant, and you actually can see a path to being a championship contender.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't see that with KAT.
Yeah.
It's got to be Ant's team. I like both those trades, and I like the idea. Portland getting a big, someone big, not an undersized guard. Dame is the second greatest shooter ever behind Steph. Like,
right.
you have offense. Get someone big who can provide offense and defense. Is kind of the name of the game there.